Lamar Jackson, who'd been sidelined for a month with a knee injury. Jackson, however, does have a chance of playing in the wild card game, a source told our Adam Schefter. As for the Bengals lead man, Joe Cool, here he is on Cincy's Super Bowl window.
Window's my whole career, and everybody that we have in that locker room, all the coaches we have, things are going to change year to year, but our window's always open.
The window's always open. That's right, Coach Herm Edwards. Good to see you joining the conversation. Good morning.
What's up, Coach?
Good morning. Stephen A., before we get on to this conversation, you're right. Alabama ain't going nowhere. I watched Nick Saban last night. I know that man. He was very uncomfortable sitting in that seat watching that game.
That's right. That's right.
Pollock
don't know what he's done. Pollock done opened his mouth. He done started something. David Pollock done started something. And when Georgia gets knocked off next year and Alabama rises to the occasion, you can blame David Pollock.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's go.
All right, we'll have more in college football the second hour. Sam Acho will join us. We all do. Herm, I'll start with you. Which quarterback do you have the most faith in the playoffs?
Oh, it's not even close. Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
And I do think he's going to be the MVP. I think we lose sight of his greatness at times because he just makes things look very easy. But he's a guy with a lot of playoff experience. They're a team right now that has won 14 games. No one's really talking about the Kansas City Chiefs a lot, and rightly so. I think we've watched the Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals. We love those quarterbacks. We love those teams. But Kansas City's just kind of sitting there. No one's saying anything, but you watch this guy. He's, thrown over 40 touchdown passes. He's a unique individual. He really is. He does it now at a rate to where we just, that's what he does. But, I mean, what he's doing and accomplishing, it's remarkable. Remember, he lost his best weapon. Tyreek Hill is in Miami. He's got a tight end that's a good player. He's got Keyshawn's buddy, Shoe down there with him, right? And other than that, I mean, he makes the team better. He's making this football team better. He makes the players around him better. This is why I continue to watch him play and go, this guy right here, they're on a mission. Now, I know they lost to Cincinnati. They lost to Buffalo. He's not losing those teams twice in one season.
Keyshawn?
When you ask the question about which quarterback you have the most faith in, there's a couple that Patrick Mahomes certainly is there, but Joe Burrow for me. And when I look at Joe, he's cool, he's calm, he's collected, he gets it. The players, it seems like they rally around him, they play with him, for him, all of those sort of things. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, obviously. Then you got Tyler Boyd mixing in the backfield, the tight end. The defense is much better. And he stopped turning the football over like he was earlier in the year. And he's been there before. Think about it. Second year in the league, coming off ACL surgery, if it wasn't for Aaron Donald coming on the backside chasing him down, he may have a Lombardi trophy riding around in his back seat right now. So I like him. He has playoff experience, and I trust him. I think I got a lot of faith in him.
I understand, Keyshawn. I understand where you're coming from. Not a bad selection. Joe Burrow's a stud. It helps to have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and them brothers throwing the football to him, but throwing the football too. But he's a big time brother. There's no doubt about that. But it's Patrick Mahomes. I applaud the brilliance of Coach Herm for agreeing with moi because it is appropriate in this particular situation. Patrick Mahomes, 41 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, completing better than 67% of his passes. Number one offense in points, number one offense in yards, number one offense in passing. Without Tyreek Hill. I'm sorry. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at them being 10-1 over their last 11 games of this season. I'm thinking about Patrick Mahomes. And the only thing that I would disagree with you about, Coach, you said something blasphemous. You said Travis Kelce's got a good play over there. Oh, hell no. He's got a great player over there. This is the best tight end in football. His name is Travis Kelce. Make no mistake about it. Ain't nothing good about Travis Kelce. He's great. It is that simple. And when you look at that and having that reliable weapon and how it's opened up the floodgate of opportunities for the Juju Smith-Schusters and others on the Kansas City Chiefs, the fact that there has been literally no drop-off without Tyreek Hill speaks volumes to Mahomes is that dude. Everybody knows it, and we gonna find out about that come playoff time as well.
Stephen A. and Herm, y'all both know, especially you, Herm, because you played in the secondary, you coached the secondary on the defensive side of the ball. The Cincinnati Bengals got 3 guys that you got to cover down on.
That's true.
In the National Football League, teams don't have 3 corners that can cover across the board. That's the problem that you have when you're facing Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. It's not like they haven't been on a run either. They've been on a little bit of a run themselves in turning things around this season. And might I remind you too, Stephen A., because I'm going to go at you on this one. You do know Joe Burrow went into Kansas City last year after getting a victory against Tennessee, went into Kansas City and popped Patrick Mahomes and company.
Yes, but that's a reason for me.
With Tyreek Hill on the team.
Well, listen, that's a reason for me to believe it wouldn't happen again. Not only did he beat him in the AFC Championship game, he also beat him this season. He also beat him this season in Cincinnati.
Yes.
He's beaten Patrick Mahomes 3 times. So let me ask you this question. When we think about
3 straight times.
When we think about greatness, because you know something about greatness, give you the damn ball, okay? You know something about greatness, Keyshawn Johnson. Do you believe that someone that is great like Patrick Mahomes can continue to get beat by the same opponent over and over again? You don't think that at some point greatness will...
Remember that, like, here comes the emotional moment. It's like, always make sure they remember the day they played the Titans. Even if you're going to lose, but leave an impression. Let them know that you were there. Have them remember how hard it was to beat you. Like, leave something of yourself there. When you get blown out like that, it's like you didn't even leave an impression. You know what I mean? It's as a fan, it's like, oh, man. You feel like you didn't get repped. I don't know. That's how
I get it. I get it as a fan. But as you talking to 2 players, though, Max, and we ain't having it.
I know it. Cardinals fire Cliff Kingsbury, guys.
Really?
And GM Steve Keim steps aside. So they signed these dudes. Remember they signed them to the contract extension before Kyler? And that signaled clearly they're going to sign Kyler, right? You think it's like a package deal, but Kyler was still in a rush to get signed. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe there's a little division here, a little separation. It's not as packaged up as we like to think. These 2 dudes, what do they do? They signed them 10 months ago to an extension. And anyway,
so that just means less money for the new people.
I guess Kingsbury's 28, 38, and 1 overall. Over 4 seasons, including 4 and 13 this season. And for sure, when Kyler was healthy.
You said 28, 38, and 1?
Yeah. 10 games under 500.
It just sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Right? It just sounds. I didn't know it was
horrible. It is horrible.
Well, it's all this year that buried them. Yeah. 4 and 13.
I know they struggled in the past, but I didn't realize, until you say it, Jay, till you say the record.
Yeah, but Key, it wasn't. It's also not the record. Remember, like, there's this history. I think I talked about it last year, where it always seemed like they had a hot start, and it always fizzled on the back end.
Yeah, they
like when the moments
half
became the biggest, when you needed them to step up, that's when he lost his squad.
Yeah, the only difference this year, because he was about 500, a game under 500 before this year, Key. The only difference between this year and the other years is they didn't have that fast start, so they just had a terrible record in the end because they were still no good at the end, right? Like,
but you knew it was coming down to the end when Kyler Murray attacked. Well, I don't want to use the word attack. Yeah. When Kyler Murray had a conversation on the sideline with the head coach during the season, an adamant conversation where everything was like, you knew right then. You're like, yeah, if they don't make it to the playoffs, they're gonna fire this dude.
Yeah. There was a division there. It wasn't packaged up as we thought maybe.
But it's all ownership though. Like when you look back at how they allowed their team to be governed, right? The structure. Like, think about the conversations we've had about Kyler Murray. I mean, we've had former players come on the show, former players of his, and talk about the lack of leadership, right? Think about some of the things.
Current players, Jay. That was his right tackle.
Okay, and think about the things that are baked into his contract too, Key, about him staying focused with the playbook and on the field. So, and combine that with just signing Cliff Kingsbury and the GM 10 months ago to an extension and now making moves, it has to make you think, how is this franchise being led overall?
Well, 13 losses tied for the most in a season in franchise history for the Cardinals, 2018 and 2000. He ends the season, Kingsbury does, on a 7-game losing streak, fourth longest losing streak within a season since the franchise moved to Arizona. Jeremy